just knowing somebody who went through the same thing and was able to still come out successful, it gave me the drive and the belief that I could do it too. So I always say to people, if you can see her, you can be her.
Welcome to another episode of Forging the Future, and I'd like to welcome Staci Latoison to the show. Staci is the founder and CEO of Dream Big Ventures, which is, I love that name, and a leader in innovation and strategy. So thanks for being here, Staci.
Thank you, Chris. It is such an honor, and I'm super excited about joining the advisory board of Softeq.
Yeah.
This is really a historical moment. And from the very beginning, when I came to Demo Day, I just felt a real connection with the team and felt like family, with the founders, with the leadership. And so I'm very excited for what we build going forward.
Wow. Yeah, we're excited as well to have you on the team. I think you bring a lot of experience to what we're trying to build here in Houston, and we'll get into more of that as we talk. I think we even got you dancing a little bit during Demo Day.
That's right. I said, you had me at karaoke.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I was actually one of the original members of Girls Time, so I sang with Beyonce as a kid, and
wow.
I love to sing, so I'll never shy away from the mic.
That's great. Well, we like to have fun on our demo days. So let me talk a little bit about how you got here, right? A little bit about your history of what you were dreaming to do and how that went as your plans. I think we have a lot in common on our journey, and so I'm curious to hear you tell it.
Sure, I'm happy to. I'm a native Houstonian. I'm Puerto Rican and Cuban,
Okay.
And all throughout school, I always loved to learn, and always wanted to travel the world as well, learn about different cultures, and so. And I was a star basketball letterman and all-state.
Wow,
and
sports
I was getting
not my thing.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can figure that out, but
I played point guard. I led the team, and was getting a lot of scholarship offers. But at 17, I got pregnant with my son, and I had goals of attending an Ivy League university, but that had to change once I was pregnant. So I ended up graduating from the University of Houston in information technology, and I ended up thankfully getting an internship with Texaco. And at the time, obviously it was very difficult as a 17-year-old. Like, okay, what am I going to do now? I felt like all my dreams were shattered. But I had a friend who said, my mom had me when she was 17, and it's like he graduated from straight Jesuit. They lived in a huge house in Sugar Land. She was an executive at Texaco, and so. Just knowing somebody who went through the same thing and was able to still come out successful, it gave me the drive and the belief that I could do it too. So I always say to people, if you can see her, you can be her. And that was a perfect example of that. And so I went on, I got the Gates Millennium Scholarship and got an internship and stayed on with 22 years later and several expat assignments through China and Angola. I just recently retired from Chevron after 22 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's very interesting. How motivating just being able to visualize someone's path and say, well, I could get there too, right? I think everyone should keep in mind, right? That just sharing the hardship and that it's achievable, right? And interesting that you went to U of H. I came to Houston to go to the University of Houston, actually on a scholarship, but also got married young, right? And so I definitely empathize with your journey there. It's not easy, but also the power of internships, right? Did you intern while you were in college?
Yes.
Or you did?
I
so
did.
Was that through the U of H co-op program? Or is it something else?
No, it wasn't directly through U of H. It was through that. My friend's mom who worked there, like she got me an interview. So it was like, and she's the one who had him at 17. So it was like, she really paid it forward and made a huge impact on me. I still have a relationship with her and thank her every day that she was my guardian angel because I could have been on a whole nother path. And so it's very important to me to mentor and to share my story with other single mothers and women entrepreneurs and young students that, you can achieve anything that you put your mind to. If you have a dream, you can do it. And that's the reason why I named my company Dream Big Ventures.
And yeah, I think we could all use a champion in our life. I think it is very impactful. I mean, the reason I'm in Houston is because of my aunt. And she's always been a champion for me, actually inspiring me to be better than I think I am, and so, or at least trying to become the person she thinks I am. Why do you think she did that? She just saw herself in your, same situation, or what was her motivation to reach out to you at that point?
Yeah, she probably did see that I was very hardworking. I had like a 3.8 GPA, working and going to school. And so, she saw what type of opportunity and how much education and having an opportunity like an internship can impact and change people's lives for the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've found that. We're really hoping to do more internship programs at Softeq because I just think it's a win-win-win.
That's
right?
wonderful.
And giving people an opportunity to work and gain, experience at a job that they wouldn't normally have access to. And whether you've graduated or not. In my journey, I didn't actually graduate as it turned out, right? So I'm one semester short of my degree, but in the end, it just... my path took a little bit different turn there, but...
Well, whenever you decide to go back, we will all be there to support you at your graduation. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, I'm saying it today. Chris has to go back and finish. So
I went for a long time. I went to night school. It just was a decision on my part. It does bother me, actually, in a way that I haven't finished because I'm a person that likes to finish, but I just made the decision that, well, I have a family and I have a company, right? And I was going to spend another year at night school, and it was taking away from those other two things that I put as a priority. Maybe I'll go for the honorary doctorate. I don't know.
Well, I just recently joined U of H's Dean's Advisory Board.
Oh, okay.
For the College
So
of
I've got
Liberal
an in
Arts
now.
and Social Sciences. Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, we're both products of intern programs, right? And at Softeq, I'm very passionate about internship. I think it's a win-win for interns. And for the company, we're looking to try to build our internship program in multiple locations. We have offices in Vilnius and in Germany and here in Houston and down in Monterey. And we're looking to partner with universities here in Houston, Monterey Institute down in Mexico. I'm looking to understand how you feel we can really build a great internship program at Softeq and here in Houston, because it's really important. Right?
Yes, Chris, that is music to my ears. So I'm a product of an internship, and that experience is invaluable for students, to have that firsthand, real life industry experience. It's like even greater than being in the classroom. So I think that's wonderful that Softeq is going to do that. It's extremely important to me to give back to the community. And it's important for us to, have a pipeline of people that are going to, after we retire and we're, done and we're off on the beach somewhere, people to carry it on and to continue forging the future, creating and being innovative with the new technologies that are going to shape the future.
Right. Well, a lot of people feel like interns are uneducated high school students or something like this, and that it's a real heavy lift to bring an intern into a business. But what I saw work at IBM was I was treated like any other engineer. I wasn't made to go get coffee or become a copy jockey or like just do the cleanup tasks, but I was actually writing actual code and responsible for prototyping space station workstations and things like that. So was that your same experience where you were?
Yes. The first time that I traveled without my family, I went to a conference when I was like 20 years old in DC. That was just part of the group. And, I'll never forget that. It was really a great experience there.
Was there anything that stood out to you about their internship program that was, besides the on-the-job experience, but did they do anything that you feel like we should leverage or... plagiarize?
Well, actually, I know of some other companies, like you said, IBM had a really great program. Bill.com, they came and they were part sponsors of the Tejano Tech Summit this summer, and a couple of them with Conectado and Bill.com put together this program for high schoolers, and they were building apps and putting them out on the App Store, and so that completely changed like an entire community. I mean, me, for example, my parents, because I had assignments in China. So, I mean, I took my parents and my nephews and a lot of my family members, obviously my kids, to Thailand, to Australia, to New Zealand, to Hong Kong, like all these places that they never could imagine visiting. And they had that opportunity because of my experience in getting these expat assignments. So I think, it's definitely impactful for them to get that. No doubt about it. This is very important, and I'm glad that you're moving forward with it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I actually didn't have a passport until I was 40 years old.
Really?
So, none of my family really traveled that much, so that has been an interesting part of my own journey as well, being able to travel. I wasn't able to take a lot of my family with me, but my wife certainly traveled with me over the years, and I've made up for it with 2 million flight miles by now, but... so you were an expat.
My daughter was born in Beijing.
Oh,
she
really?
had a passport when she was 1 month.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So you're an expat. You had these assignments at Chevron. You got to travel, but you're in venture now. How did that happen?
So I've always... I started listening to this little voice in the back of my head that said,
Only one?
Yeah, all these voices going through this, like, life is short, and especially it happened during the pandemic. Life is short, and why not go after your dreams? There's nothing holding me back. I went on vacation with my mom and my sister. We went to Jamaica, and we were just having these really deep conversations and asking each other questions that we never talked about before. It was like, Mom, who's in her 70s now, what would you have told your 40-year-old self? What are some things that you haven't, that are still on your list that you would like to do, or do you have any regrets? And so, when the question came back to me, I was like, man, I want to invest in businesses. I just, especially startups, love Shark Tank. And so like, that would be my dream job. And then after that, I ended up attending a women's conference, and Serena Williams was the keynote speaker. And that's when she talked about Serena Ventures, and that there's only 2% of VC funds that go to women and underrepresented founders. Unbelievable. And I'm like, are you serious? And I'm very much of a women empowering because, as a single mom, and I've achieved a lot, and I want to see others do the same. And so, I was just astonished. So I said, bing, this is what I meant to do. All the experience that I had securing funding, working with government officials from other countries and our executive leadership to secure funds for our multi-billion-dollar projects, and, giving presentations, being transparent with the numbers, and, networking and stakeholder engagement. I was like, this is the perfect skills that translate into venture. And then all of a sudden, I think my computer was listening to me, and I saw an ad for the Columbia Business School Venture Capital and Private Equity Program. And so I applied, and I was accepted. And I said, I'm doing this for my 17-year-old self who wanted to go to Ivy League school and never did, and always had that, so that's why I did it.
That's nice. You checked 2 boxes off.
It's never too late.
Had you been thinking about startups and venture until they posed that question, or was it just an epiphany?
I've always been interested in different investments. Wasn't necessarily looking at startups at that time, but was always like, wow, this is just so interesting. And it obviously, things move a little bit faster, and things are a lot of creativity in this industry. So I think it's like the perfect place. And then actually, I was going to the ION all the time because Chevron has an office there, and I was the manager of innovation and strategy. So I was working a lot with the tech ventures team, and I just, even being in the building, I could feel the energy. And I was like just drawn to it and drawn to the people and the founders. I think it's so interesting just sitting down with them and learning what this creative idea that they're building. So I love being a part of it.
How long was the program?
It was a little over a year.
Was it hard to go back
Online.
to school at that point? Because you've been out of college for like 20 years.
Oh my
right?
gosh. I think the most difficult part was because I'm not accustomed to online learning, So I really loved when I took my on-campus class. It was
So it was all
negotiation.
virtual because it was during COVID, or is that just the way they did it?
That's the way they did it. I think they were trying to make it accessible for more people around the globe. Because when I took my on-campus class, it was people from Saudi Arabia and Colombia, Poland, Dubai, everywhere.
Well, hopefully we can move that needle on that 2% because it is way too low. I think they only count it if there's no male co-founders. So I think the stat is maybe just a little bit better than how they show it, but it's still really bad, right?
There's a lot of room for improvement. So much upside and potential because, as we know, businesses run by women are very successful.
Yes. I've naturally also seen that. I mean, some of my best project managers tend to be women. I think if you think about how women have run the houses and everything else, the households over the years, right? Not just kids, but finances and
we're the decision makers.
Exactly.
And we are the ones who make the decisions on what we purchase. We have the purchasing power.
Isn't it 70% or more of the decisions are made by women?
That's correct.
Purchasing decisions.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's cool. I like the fact that it came full circle and you were able to check that box on the Ivy League school in the end.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's
very proud of.
My dream was MIT at one. That was what I thought I was going to go to at some point. And we had a partnership with MIT not too long ago in our innovation lab. So that was fun.
That's awesome. Maybe we'll get some interns from there.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And also from U of H.
U of H, yeah, go Cougs. Yeah, we have actually we have been doing the interns. We have some from U of H. We have some from Rice. We also went through the Rice program where we had three MBA students from Norway, I believe. So
Wow.
and they were fantastic, and they were very happy to be with us. They felt they won the lottery because we were actually using them as part of the team. So now you're on to investment. Right. And what I've heard is you're someone who likes to invest in themselves, which I think everyone needs to do. Right.
That's correct. I think that we don't do enough of it.
Oh, really?
It's very important, especially as women. A lot of times we don't put our needs first. We put others before us all the time. And trust me, I'm a single mom. I do the same thing. But I also know that don't wait around for your company to assign you an executive coach, or to pay for a conference that you really feel is important to you. So, I was going to go to Columbia regardless if Chevron paid for it or not. I'm going to get an executive coach and pay for it myself. I don't need them telling me if they approve it or not. So, you have to put your fate in your own hands, and that's really how you're going to grow and reach your full potential.
That can-do attitude, I think, is a challenge for a lot of people, or they see a lot of little molehills that are in their way to achieving their goals. There's certainly safety in, doing what what to do or how to do it. And you took that initiative to go to Columbia and learn more about venture. What else did you have to do really to invest in yourself once you graduated from Columbia? Okay, now fine, you got to raise a venture fund or get involved in venture. How did you go about that?
Yeah, so I don't watch TV. I am anytime there's a free program going on at the Ion or somewhere around town, you're going to see me there because I think this is an opportunity to grow and to absorb all this great information from experienced people. And I've just kind of really got tapped into that ecosystem and that network. And I've experienced so many firsts just in this last year, things that I never thought in my life, like sitting here in this podcast with you. I spoke at the Hispanic Association on Corporate Responsibility, ASED's 30th annual symposium last September in LA. And that was a first, speaking in front of 400 Latino professionals, sharing my journey and, giving them advice on some of these tips, like investing in yourself, noticing something, noticing a gap. Raising your hand, volunteering. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been a co-MC now for several tech summits at the ION as well. The Tejano Tech Summit that took place in October, and the Tech Live, which is to help mentor and showcase careers in tech for high school students. And it was a joy and had a great time. Hope to do it every year.
So volunteering.
Yes. And I'm also going to be at South by Southwest, which is it's important too to do vision boards. I can't always find what I want in the magazine, and paste it on there, but I write things down all the time of just my goals. And it might sound like there's no way you're going to achieve that, right? That's why I said dream big. It's a huge goal. And I wrote South by Southwest down, and now I'm going to be there in March. So, it's
great.
So many different things have happened. So, yeah, I had a conversation with Brett after going to the demo day, which I was extremely impressed with.
Brett was Softeq.
Yes, Brett was Softeq. Mm-hmm. Extremely impressed with all of the founders, with the whole program, the Venture Studio, and, of course, with the leadership team, that I decided to go ahead and invest. And so I'm a limited partner. And, I noticed on the pitch deck that, okay, so a lot of males on here, no women advisors. And so I posed the question, hey, would you guys be open to, because I know I've got the experience and I've got a lot of value to add. And then he said, hey, let me go talk to the team and I'll get back with you. And I just think that's awesome. So sometimes things just happen like that, of just speaking up. I think you have to be very intentional with your time, because time is currency. And so if there's certain things that you want to achieve and certain goals that you have, and certain meetings that, it's you need to be strategic, know exactly what do I want. What do I need to gain from this? What can I help the other person with? Instead of just having meeting just to have it, Now I'm on 3 boards. I'm on the advisory board here and at U of H, and also the Houston Hospice, and I'm co-chairing the Discovery Green Gala on the Green. So yeah, a lot of my evenings, or I'm attending networking events within our ecosystem. So yeah, I'm very intentional about my time throughout the day. I also think it's important to keep a really good circle around you, so that you're continuing to grow and learn and bounce off ideas from each other. So early on, one of my first investments was with Agility Bank, and it's a women-owned bank here in Houston, first of its kind, and minority-owned. And a group of us, we're called the Houston Women's Investment Group. A lot of us are judges, state reps, attorneys, CEOs, a lot of entrepreneurs within this group. And every time that we get together for a meeting to discuss what are some potential investments, and also, laugh and talk about life, but it's it's so empowering, and I grow each time that we're just talking about things and we're learning about different opportunities and helping support each other at each other's events. And it's a phenomenal group to be with.
That sounds fantastic. I think that's also one of the things I'm excited about in Houston with the startup development organizations, because this didn't exist, 20, 30 years ago, or even 10 years ago, right? So being able to be in those kind of groups where you're surrounded by people that are trying to accomplish, great things, really does bounce off of each other. And this is where you get the synergy and collision and the growth.
Yes. And a lot of us are servants of our community. We are Houstonians. We love and we're very passionate about Houston and trying to help others.
So yes, you're one of our LPs and investors in Softeq Venture Fund, and Thank you very much for that. And you're also an investor in several other funds as well. Mm-hmm. And we're both trying to change this crazy statistic of only 2% of the funds going toward women or minority founders. So how are you making those decisions of what you're investing in and how changing that stat?
Yeah.
Crazy stat.
So at Dream Big Ventures, we invest in the majority of our investments are women and diverse founders.
Okay.
So I recently invested in Portfolio, which is all women investors and all women founders.
Okay.
I invested in Urban Capital Network, which also it's a fund of funds that has invested like in the Artemis Fund, which is women led. I invested in Mendoza Ventures, which they just announced they raised a $100 million fund. They are Latino owned, and the co-founder is a woman, Latina, out of Boston. And I'm going to be hosting them in Houston in April. I'm so excited at the ION because I'm going to start doing this Dream Big Ventures investor series.
Okay.
And they're going to bring me my VC puppy because they give all their LPs a little puppy that has this little scarf that says Mendoza Ventures. It's so cute. And then, of course, with Softeq, not only did I invest in the fund, but I also invested directly into SpaceX, which I'm like very excited about. That one is also women-led, and they're going into indigenous communities with optometry pop-up clinics. And, I think it's so important to also invest in things that make an impact. And here, there's children who are going to school that can't see, but they don't have access to proper eye care to get prescribed because they're living in very remote communities. So, I think it's an unbelievable impact that they're making. And so I'm very excited about that investment.
All right, Staci, looking back over the past year, what's been a highlight for you?
Well, I was honored by the Houston Business Journal as one of the Women Who Mean Business honorees for 2022. And that was a very special honor, being in the room with, I think it was women from 12 different industries. Receiving this prestigious honor was very empowering. And I decided to bring my daughter and my niece. My daughter, Sophia, is 10, and my niece, now she's 11, just so that they get a chance to witness that and understand that, whatever dream that you have, you can achieve it. Look at all of these women here that are like powerhouses that are super successful and achieving really great things in all these different industries. So it meant a lot for them to be at that table. They were the only children there, but they were just big smiling faces. And I know that it really inspired them because they are our future leaders. And it's so important for us to give, to show them, what they can do. And that's why, back to the internship, those types of programs are very important for our future leaders to come up and make an impact on the world.
Almost like a career day kind of experience.
Yeah, it was cool. And I also, my parents were there, and several women who I look up to, who inspire me, that are friends of mine, and who also make a huge impact on our Houston community. So it was just like, when you ask people, or have you ever been asked if you could sit at the table, have dinner with like 10 people, who would be at that table?
Right.
So I'm also excited because I'm co-chairing the Discovery Green Gala on the Green, and I decided I'm going to sponsor 2 tables with all empowering women trailblazers in the city. So, I've got the Consulate of Israel, Livia Link is going to be a guest, our state rep, Christina Morales, and several CEOs. Hopefully Paula Harris makes it from the Astros Foundation, but a lot of really impactful, amazing women are going to be at my table, and I'm like super excited about it, and to showcase and highlight them.
I love that. That is fantastic. I hope to see that. So last question, how are you forging the future in venture capital?
Like we talked about that statistic, I am being intentional and to make a change, and also to inspire young women, young entrepreneurs, or even any age, that you can have a career here. I'm actually speaking at the Rice Women in Leadership Conference on February 10th. And a friend of mine was like, I went last year and there was no representation from Latinas or any women of color. And so when I see that you've been doing, angel investing and venture capital, I was like, wow. So I said, okay, I'm going to do something about that. And so I'm a sponsor this year and I'm speaking because I never want another woman to attend that conference and feel like, wow, there's no representation from, there on stage. So I'm like super excited to be there and inspire them.
Yeah, it's interesting to me, like even in this day and age, that those things still are happening. But I'm really happy that you are taking the challenge head on to change that.
I think that's the theme here, right?
Somebody has to do it, right? Yeah.
So, Chris, I have a question for you.
Okay.
What are you excited about in 2023 and in the future?
What am I excited about? Well, a lot of things. I think that Houston is coming in its own, and I see a lot of more momentum in the Houston ecosystem. We have a big event coming up at South by Southwest that we're really excited about. We're also hoping to raise yet another fund, to do even more work here in Houston. The first fund was really a test to see whether our model worked with our, fund and studio and services model. And what we've seen in the past year and a half is that, yes, it's working. And there's just a lot of events coming up that I think are going to be, in fact, impactful to Houston. We have our Chili Showdown coming. And I see just a lot of positive energy in Houston and in Texas around the startup ecosystem, and we're trying to help, like you are, be a leader and forge the future in venture in Houston. So,
and that's why I'm so happy that I'm part of the Softeq family, because I have seen that you are committed to action. You've with the Venture Studio and all of the different events and the access, that you really truly are making an impact here in Houston, and very excited to continue to build together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what's something that you are excited and looking forward to this year?
Well, I'm going to be launching my first fund. So that's, a lot of work, but it's going to be great. Again, I'm investing in women and diverse founders, and that's, really the only way we can close that gap is to go for it, to make that happen. I'm also going to be, I think I told you, hosting the investment series at the Ion, South by Southwest.
Well, Staci, one of the things I like to do is wear. You notice my my silly socks that I have on today. I wore my cowboy socks because of Texas and all the great things going on here.
And the rodeo is right around the corner.
Rodeo is coming up. I have something for you.
Oh, I have a surprise.
Yes, so I have some socks of your own. Some unicorn socks. So
oh my goodness.
You can wear those while you're unicorn hunting.
Thank you oh my gosh, I love this.
I don't know if you wear silly socks, but you
it
can
says
try.
Don't Stop Believing.
No,
I love it. And is that not the best song to sing in karaoke?
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to hear it sometime soon. We have demo day coming up in May, right?
Yes.
So, you'll be on mic.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much,
You're
Chris.
welcome. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.